Now on Coast TV News.
Battle over Hillsborough substation.
Really sets a dangerous precedent.
While Delaware lawmakers debate a bill connected to alternative energy, one advocacy group is blaming Republicans for recent power failures.
Delaware budget nearly done, the focus of the state's new spending plan that awaits Governor Matt Meyer's signature.
Bathhouse upgrades facing opposition, the continued clash for what DENREC officials say are needed improvements for its lifeguards.
A stormy start to the week for Delmarva. Some of the storms could be strong to severe. Looking good for the end of the week as we head into the 4th of July. Details coming up.
This is Coast TV News Today.
And welcome to our 6 o'clock hour. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
And good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. It is Monday, June 30th, 2025.
It's a bit calmer now outside.
It is,
we had those thunder boomers about 2 hours ago.
But I think I speak for a lot of people on the coast. Let's get the storms out earlier in the week. You know, don't want them for 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, I think Bob can deliver on that too. That is a good request there,
All right,
Elisa.
Bob. All right, Bob, that's my request. Storms earlier in the week. Please clear up later in the week.
Okay.
Right?
Elisa's order, storms are, I can fill that order, Elisa. Yeah, good morning, guys. Yeah, we could get the storms and humidity out of here by Wednesday. Then it's looking good for the 4th. But until then, a little bumpy. We had those storms overnight, some heavier rain and lightning. Now they're offshore, actually fizzling off the Delaware coast. Well, there's one there well offshore. And then another cell off the coast of, say Cape May and Atlantic City. Otherwise, things are pretty quiet now across Delmarva as we do have a front that's to our north. You can see that things have, in fact, cleared out in parts of Delmarva right now. We have a stationary front to the north, cooler air to the north of the front, to the south, warm and muggy air. And in the proximity of this front today, I still think there's a chance of showers and storms into the afternoon. Middle 70s out the door, so it's another warm and muggy morning, and dew point temperatures almost matching the actual temperature, so it's that air you can wear. As we'll see breaks in the clouds this morning, temperatures quickly rising through the 80s into the low 90s by noon, and it's going to feel much warmer with the humidity. A little bit of relief at the coast, and then we could see some showers and storms, I think, into the afternoon and evening hours with the very hot conditions. We're not seeing it on this model, but I think there could be a little bit more in the way of widespread activity with temperatures near 100 inland areas. So your day part forecast, 70s, 80s, even lower 90s with that storm chance this afternoon. Another chance of storms tomorrow. Could be a little stronger to severe. Then we dry it out as we go towards the 4th of July holiday weekend. Much more on that coming up a little bit later in the newscast.
All right, thank you, Bob. And we're getting a live look at Delaware's capital city of Dover. It is the last legislative day this year for the General Assembly, and we had a flurry of votes on a number of bills. There are several this year that have a direct impact on Sussex County, and that is our top story this hour. Let's start with Senate Bill 159. This is the one that would override the county council's decision to ban an electric substation in Millsboro. On June 10th, it passed the Senate along party line votes, and now it is in the House of Representatives.
Some people claim that this bill overrides local control, but it doesn't do that, because the county councils they decide zoning. They've already decided on the zoning. They just need to abide by it.
Really sets a dangerous precedent to say, hey, if the state doesn't like how your local representatives make a decision, then we now have a precedent to show where we can overrule that one decision that we don't like.
And with Democrats holding a 26-14 margin in the House, an approval of the bill is expected, which then sends it to Governor Matt Meyer to sign into law.
The controversy over the bill spilled over into the $977 million capital improvement bill, better known as the bond bill. It requires 3/4 of the Senate to approve, and the Republicans had votes to block it. Here's what the Delaware Sierra Club posted about the bond bill defeat and its connection to the Millsboro substation bill. Quote, "While the Senate GOP is holding the bond bill hostage to shut down offshore wind, Sussex is having active brownouts in areas that wouldn't be facing that problem if U.S. wind were online and connected to Delaware." It led to this response by Representative Shoup. There are no brownouts, and the recent power outages in Lewis had nothing to do with the lack of offshore wind or with the Senate Republicans. The Sierra Club knows this, yet they are willfully spreading false information to manipulate public opinion, blaming Senate Republicans for a local utility issue we had nothing to do with. And a more in-depth look at some of the key bills introduced this year in the General Assembly and their status can be found right now on CoastTV.com and on our app.
Not much drama when it comes to the fiscal year 2026 budget. It just needs the signature of Governor Meyer for implementation. Last week, the General Assembly passed a $6.5 billion plan. It includes a 2% raise for teachers. Over $89 million will go towards state employee benefits and post-employment investments. It is expected that Governor Meyer will sign it. After all, new fiscal year begins tomorrow.
We are now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. The showdown in the Congress over the so-called Big Beautiful Bill continues this morning. Hours of debate are underway, which is followed by options for senators to offer unlimited amendments and then a final vote.
The Republicans are trying to steer the 940-page domestic policy legislation through the Senate. NBC's Alice Barr shows us they're nearing a self-imposed July 4th deadline.
Today, one big debate on President Trump's massive domestic policy package known as the One Big Beautiful Bill. This morning, senators starting a vote-a-rama when they can offer unlimited amendments to change the bill before a vote on final passage. Democrats making their objections clear late into the night.
This legislation is the most significant attack on the health care needs of the American people in our country's history.
The bill includes cuts to programs like Medicaid that the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates would cost more than 11 million Americans their health care. Republicans argue changes like new work requirements will make the program stronger in the long run.
We want them to be safety nets, not hammocks that people stay in, but getting people on their feet.
Republican Senator Tom Tillis opposes the Medicaid cuts and on Saturday voted against a key procedural vote, though the bill still advanced 51-49. On Sunday, after scathing criticism from President Trump, Tillis announced he won't seek re-election. Asked if there's room in the GOP to disagree with the president.
If you have the courage to, and if you don't, there isn't.
Democrats also objecting to extended tax cuts, part of why the bill's expected to add more than $3 trillion to the deficit over 10 years.
Using fake math and budgetary hocus pocus to make it seem like a gargantuan tax break for billionaires is going to cost virtually nothing. That's insane.
Republicans largely lockstep.
It's going to make us all more prosperous.
Looking to press ahead with the Trump agenda. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
This just in, President Trump took to social media early this morning to say that he would not be offering Iran anything, and he's calling out Delaware Senator Chris Coons. The Post reiterated his assertion that the United States had totally obliterated Tehran's nuclear facilities. On Friday, President Trump dismissed reports that his administration had discussed possibly helping Iran access as much as $30 billion to build a civilian energy-producing nuclear program.
Authorities say a man found dead on a mountain in Idaho. It's where two firefighters were shot and killed on Sunday. The man was not immediately identified as a suspect in what officials are calling an ambush shooting. Members of a SWAT team did find the man's body along with a firearm. Sunday afternoon, crews came under fire when responding to a brush fire. Police say the ambush killed two firefighters and another was taken to a local hospital for his injuries.
A Crisfield man is now facing charges as Maryland State Police are accusing him of a deadly shooting that happened in Somerset County back in April. According to troopers, 28-year-old Tyron Lee Ivy was arrested Friday morning in Seaford by Delaware State Police. He's charged with first-degree murder, second-degree attempted murder, assault, reckless endangerment, and several firearm charges. Police say the victim, 20-year-old Evan Neal of Crisfield, was found shot in a home on Cove Street on April 25th and was pronounced dead at the scene.
Got the latest effort for upgrades at Cape Henlopen State Park, and this one deals with the McBride Bathhouse. It's a building that's nearly 50 years old, and Denmark says the bathrooms are outdated. There's not enough space for lifeguards. Proposed plans late last year called for the construction of a new bathhouse on a nearby dune. That was opposed by local environmental groups. People CoastTV spoke with are mixed about the state of the bathhouse.
The bathhouse definitely needs work. It's kind of almost shameful at times. It's so loaded with flies and sand.
I think it's very adequate the way it is. I mean, I don't shower here and I hardly get any snacks here, but I use the bathroom, that's about all. But I never see people waiting online for anything, so.
Denmark secured $1 million for fiscal year 2025 for this project, but No date's been released yet when renovations could happen to the McBride bathhouse.
Happening today, an all-way stop is coming to a Seaford intersection. That's according to DelDOT. The location on your screen is Bridgeville Highway and Virginia Avenue and Woodland Mills Drive. The agency says the change follows recent sidewalk, curb, and drainage upgrades. And we're just getting started in this hour of CoastTV News Today.
Yeah, coming up, the Fenwick Weekend Bonfire, what you can expect at the event sent for the 4th of July holiday.
Also, Belmead plans debate will show you why some people say more development would be detrimental to the area, but why others see the proposed idea as a benefit to the community.
And row home collapse cause, we'll tell you what officials say led to this massive destruction in Philadelphia. All that and more as CoastTV News Today continues.
6:12 on a muggy, mild Monday morning. We can see the gray skies in the distance in Lewis as storms are moving offshore now. Those are the ones that moved through earlier on, giving us some heavy rain and some lightning, but now they're offshore of Delaware. They're into New Jersey right now, southern tip of New Jersey, but Delmarva right now we're drying out, but still very mild and muggy with a front to the north. We're on the warm, muggy side of this front, so that's pretty much going to stay the same. Mid-70s out the door this morning. If you're headed to the golf course, make sure you have a lot of water. It's going to be a hot and humid day. I think keep an eye to the sky later on for showers and storms. Make sure you find shelter. If you hear the thunder, a high around 90, but feeling like 100 with the humidity.
All right, thanks, Bob. One person is dead and 2 others hospitalized. This is after a fire caused several Philadelphia row homes to collapse. This happened Sunday. It was just before 5 a.m. It involved 3 of those row homes. Police say a K-9 recovered the remains of one person while searching through the rubble. Also, an 82-year-old woman and a 63-year-old woman were taken to a hospital. Over 10 people who live in the area were told to evacuate.
The Blue Origin Space Company launched another crew into space Sunday for an 11-minute ride. The rocket launched from a site in West Texas with 6 passengers on board. This was the 13th human spaceflight for Blue Origin. Within just a few minutes, the crew reached peak altitude at 62 miles above sea level. Then they floated back to Earth under 3 parachutes for a safe landing in the desert.
Delaware lawmakers taking aim at rising car insurance costs. A new resolution has passed the Senate and the House. It creates an automobile insurance reform task force. That'll look at ways to bring down premiums, reform medical payments after accidents, which they say will help families keep more of their money.
Despite sky-high prices, Gen Z is managing to break into the housing market and often in creative ways. Financial services company Intercontinental Exchange reports that Gen Z now accounts for 1 in 4 loans issued to first-time home buyers. While the housing market has been tight for the last few years, there have been signs it may be softening.
A floral dress that Princess Diana wore to visit children in hospitals sold at auction for more than $500,000. Julian's auction sold off dozens of items from the late Princess Diana's wardrobe, and the auction house described the sale as the largest collection of the royals' fashion ever.
And we're seeing pretty clouds right now in Ocean View with departing storms moving off the coast. You can see the dark skies to the east right now, and we will see a stormy start to the week. Some of those storms will be strong to severe, especially into Tuesday. Then a pleasant and dry 4th of July. We're looking really good the end of the week into the holiday weekend. I'll have much more on that and the storm threat coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
Time is 6:17, and we're getting a live look at a cloudy scene. A little bit of sun there and at the Roosevelt Inlet in Lewis Spa, but humidity and heat on this Monday. Oof.
Yeah, and a beautiful shot there on that camera, Matt. We're seeing the dark skies moving to the east with those storms. And yes, it's going to be hot and muggy. And we do have that storm threat too. Today, isolated to scattered storms, I think. If we do get them, drenching downpours and maybe damaging winds as we go into your Tuesday, I think that's a better chance of severe weather. The mid to late week, high pressure, lower humidity, a beautiful 4th of July, upper 80s and low 90s with low humidity. This morning, though, lots of humidity. We had those showers and storms rolling through, but now they're offshore, and they're well offshore Delaware. Still hanging on around Atlantic City, back through areas around Cape May. So if you're taking the ferry up there, it looks like you should miss them as those storms continue to move to the east. Otherwise, it's dry across Delmarva. Very warm and muggy with the front to the north, and we're on the warm, muggy side of that front. That's going to be the case the next few days. There's a stronger front across the Central Plains, and this is the one that will finally clear us out, I think, on Wednesday, and then drop the humidity at the end of the week. Mid-70s out the door this morning, 74 Georgetown, Millsboro 75, Rehoboth 76, and the same thing with the dew points into the low to mid-70s. So very, very muggy conditions. As we're going through this morning, I think we're going to see some hazy sunshine and temperatures really taking off into the low to mid-80s mid-morning. By noon, lower 90s, Salisbury through Georgetown and Millsboro. A little cooler at the beaches. I think you'll be in the 80s at the beach with 91 in Lewis this afternoon. And watch for pop-up showers and storms into the afternoon and evening hours. Some of those with heavy rain and gusty winds. Otherwise, very warm and muggy overnight. Another steamy night into Tuesday morning. Temperatures in the 70s. And then I think much of Tuesday is dry, hot, and humid. Then we're going to see that front coming through in the evening hours with heavier rain and storms and maybe some damaging winds as well. So we'll have to watch that for Tuesday evening. I still think we're looking at lingering showers and storms late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Then we finally start to clear things out as we go into the afternoon hours of Wednesday. The humidity starts to drop and we're looking at temperatures into the 80s, much more comfortable. But today there is a marginal risk of severe weather in northern Sussex County back through the eastern shore into Dover. Maybe some damaging winds and heavy rain and maybe some flash flooding. And then for tomorrow, a better threat of severe weather across Sussex County, eastern shore and Dover. Maybe damaging winds, hail and flooding rain, and then a lower chance farther to the south. And then we clear it out Thursday into the weekend. A beautiful 4th of July as high pressure builds in. It's going to be warm with 80s and low 90s, but the comfortable humidity levels will make a big difference as we're in the miserable range right now. Then we start to slide through the very humid range, and then by the 4th of July, comfortable. It does come up a little bit into the weekend, but nothing like we're seeing right now as far as that humidity. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast, lower 90s today and tomorrow with the threat for showers and storms, a better chance of severe weather Tuesday evening, maybe morning storms Wednesday, otherwise lower humidity towards the end of the week, 89 Thursday. The 4th looking great, 86 with sunshine. I think we keep the nice weather going the rest of the holiday weekend, 87 Saturday, and then sun and clouds Sunday and a high of 90.
All right, thank you, Bob. And in a story that we've been covering for you over the past few months, this land in Lewis is currently used for a horse farm, but may soon turn into houses and businesses. Bellmead Farms LLC is proposing a change in zoning, which would allow for the construction of apartments and commercial businesses on that land. The organization Route 24 Alliance says they're concerned about the problems with more development in the surrounding Lewis area.
It will add an additional 6,800 vehicle trips per day to Route 24, which will be a 37% increase in traffic on Route 24.
However, according to the BB Healthcare CEO, Dr. David Tam, Sussex County currently has the worst doctor-to-patient ratio in the state and believes more affordable housing is a solution to that problem.
Still ahead, Fenwick Weekend Bonfire, how the town says locals can win more than just a good time this weekend on the beach. Don't go anywhere. Happening today in Salisbury, a grand reopening event for the tennis courts at City Park. This is after completion of a resurfacing project this month. You can see that area right on your screen. The city says Mayor Randy Taylor will perform a ceremonial opening serve to officially welcome locals back. Today's event will take place from 5 to 7 p.m.
New in Fenwick Island, fire, fun, and stars. It's all on the sand this weekend. The Fenwick Island Beach Patrol is hosting its annual town bonfire, and organizers say the event features a DJ, silent auction, 50-50 raffle, games, and t-shirt sales. And then after sunset, the Dark Sky Table will help spot stars and planets using a free app. This takes place July 5th from 7 to 10 p.m. at the Bayard Street Beach.
Here are tips to go green this 4th of July from Maryland's Environment Team. The Maryland Department of the Environment suggests grilling greener by using lump charcoal or choosing gas, propane, or electric grills. Opt for reusable plates, utensils, and drinkware. Set up recycling stations, and they say shopping local at farmers markets can help lower carbon footprints.
In Ocean City, Beach Heroes OC continues to clean the town, and the group announcing dates and locations for July. Organizers say volunteers can join them tomorrow at 70th Street. That's at 9 a.m. And other dates include July 8th, the 15th, 22nd, and 29th. And according to the town, supplies for the beach cleaning effort, it can be found at City Hall.
If you are having a rough week, you can cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV with personal features, fun things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up right now for free at coasttv.com and get your weekly dose of joy directly to your inbox on Friday. And all right, this is a big weekend for the Coast, so no pressure on our friend Bob Trahey.
Yeah, I know, people
for
are
the weather.
people are watching you,
People
Bob.
are
Well, they
watching,
always
Bob.
watch
They-
Bob,
yes,
but
they do.
I think there's extra attention,
Yes.
especially as we will see more and more visitors hit our area this week.
Tons of
and
visitors.
I can come through this time. Yeah,
Thank you, Bob.
we're good. We're good. I know it's not every time, but I think this holiday weekend is going to be fantastic. But before then, it's going to be warm and muggy, maybe a little stormy at the beaches. Assateague and Chincoteague, you're in the 80s today, and I am a little concerned about some afternoon showers and storms. So make sure you keep an eye to the sky. Rip current threat is low. UV index is high. Waves around 1 to 2 feet, and we're looking at, well, a mix of sun and clouds with those afternoon storms. On the bay side, the next 3 days, well, pretty active. We're looking at storms today, 90 degrees, 91 Tuesday for Cambridge. I definitely think we could see some severe weather as we go into Tuesday evening, and maybe morning storms on Wednesday, and then similar conditions for Crisfield. And then after Wednesday, then we're going to start to dry things out and looking at a great 4th of July holiday weekend. I'll have much more on that coming up in the next half hour.
And after the break on Coast TV News today, the McBride Bathhouse, 49 years old, no major upgrades, and still in use, what Denrick says is wrong.
Also, Senate bill uncertainty. What's stopping federal lawmakers from passing Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill?
In Delaware, bills reach a deadline as the final day of the legislative session is here. We'll tell you what top issues could be left undecided. Coast TV News today. We'll be right back.
Now on Coast TV News.
Power partisanship. Delaware Democrats push for alternative energy plans. Republicans push back on a bond bill, and now one group is leveling blame for recent outages.
District 20 deadline. What is next to fill the vacancy in the Delaware General Assembly?
Beachside battle.
It's kind of almost shameful at times.
Denrick says a new bathhouse is needed at Cape Henlopen State Park. The opposition it is facing in the name of dune protection.
A stormy start to the week for Delmarva. Some of the storms could be strong to severe. Looking good for the end of the week as we head into the 4th of July. Details coming up.
This is Coast TV News Today.
June 30th, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning. I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us.
6:30 on this Monday morning. We're getting ready for that big influx of people to our
Yes.
beach communities this week.
It's an exciting weekend. There's the traffic that you do have to think about, but I don't know. I'm excited for 4th of July. I feel like the summer is going way too fast.
And it's on a Friday this year.
It is on a
you
Friday
get
this
that
year.
built-in. Most people have that built-in
Yes.
3-day weekend.
It's going to be a good time, hopefully, weather-wise. So we're going to bring in First Alert Meteorologist Bob Trahey to tell us about our weather for today and later this week. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Elisa and Matt, and I think the end of the week is looking great. Looking really good heading into the 4th holiday. It's before then, it's warm, muggy, and a little stormy. We had those storms come through the overnight with some brief heavy rain and some lightning, but now they're offshore. All is quiet here. You can see the system offshore there, and also some storms across southern Jersey right now. So if you are taking the ferry up to Cape May, I think you're okay with these storms moving to the east. Over the top of us, we're looking at some breaks in the overcast now as it's very warm and muggy. We've got a front to the north, and that's going to stay to the north. So that means we stay in the real soupy air as we go through the next several days. We're looking at temperatures out the door into the mid-70s. Another warm start, another muggy start. Dew points in the low to mid-70s. So we'll see the clouds clearing out a bit this morning with some sunshine by mid-morning, mid-80s. I think we're right around 90 inland areas around the noon hour, 80s at the beaches. And then this afternoon, we're around 92 to 93 inland spots with 80s and 92 in Lewis mid-afternoon, 93 in Millsboro. Do watch for some pop-up showers and storms into the afternoon and evening hours. Maybe a little more coverage than we're seeing here, some with heavy rain and maybe some gusty winds. And feels like temperatures this afternoon pretty hot, feeling like 100 around Salisbury, Millsboro, and Georgetown. So you know the drill. Stay hydrated. Try to stay in air conditioning today. A little cooler at the beaches. As far as cutting the grass, I think we're looking at fair conditions today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. You have to pick your times around showers and storms, and then looking better on Thursday as we finally start to dry out.
Thank you, Bob. You are now taking a live look at Dover. Nearby is Legislative Hall, and we should see plenty of activity there in a few hours, as today is the final day of General Assembly for 2025. And our top story this half hour are the bills awaiting their fate, including Senate Bill 159. This is the one that would override the County Council's decision to ban an electric substation in Millsboro. The location of the proposed substation is right here, the now retired Indian River Power Plant that you can see from our Coast Copter. On June 10th, the bill passed the Senate along party lines, and now it is in the House of Representatives.
And the controversy over the bill, it spilled over into the $977 million capital improvement bill. It's better known as the bond bill. It requires 3/4 of the Senate to approve it, and the Republicans, they had the votes to block it. Here is what the Delaware Sierra Club posted about the bond bill defeat and its connection to the Millsboro substation bill. Quote, while the Senate GOP is holding the bond bill hostage to shut down offshore wind, Sussex is having active brownouts in areas that wouldn't be facing that problem if U.S. wind were online and connected to Delaware. That led to this response by Representative Brian Shoup. There are no brownouts, and the recent power outage in Lewis had nothing to do with a lack of offshore wind or with Senate Republicans. The Sierra Club knows this, yet they are willfully spreading false information to manipulate public opinion, blaming Senate Republicans for a local utility issue we had nothing to do with.
And when it comes to the fiscal year 2026 budget, there's hardly any drama. It just needs the signature of Governor Matt Meyer for implementation. Last week, the General Assembly passed a $6.5 billion plan. It includes a 2% raise for teachers. Over $89 million will go towards state employee benefits and post-employment investments. It is expected that Governor Meyer will sign it. After all, that new fiscal year begins tomorrow.
And we're also nearing a deadline at the end of this week for House Speaker Melissa Minor Brown to issue a directive to the Delaware Department of Elections and order a special election for District 20. It was last week that the Democratic representative, Stell Parker-Selby, resigned after she was unable to attend one day of the General Assembly this year. Democratic candidates will take part in a public forum on Thursday, July 3rd at the Lewis Public Library. Last week, Republican Nikki Miller confirmed to CoastTV that she hopes to run in the special election. Miller narrowly lost to Parker-Selby for this seat in 2024. And this is the area of District 20 that we're talking about. Going back to 2022, it encompasses Lewis on the east side, over to Milton and Harbison on the west side. And those areas are home to over 23,000 registered voters.
We are now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. President Donald Trump wants to sign his sweeping domestic policy legislation by Independence Day on Friday. However, its fate is uncertain ahead of today's vote-a-rama in the Senate. Most Republican lawmakers are in support of the bill and want to vote on it, but they keep facing delays in the Senate. Democrats forced a reading of the bill that took nearly 16 hours over the weekend. Then they debated it for 10 hours. Now today's vote-a-rama technically could go on even longer. After that, the Senate has to actually pass the bill in order to return it to the House.
A handful of billionaires get a big break, while working people lose their Medicaid, while hungry kids lose access to food funding.
We have before us today a once-in-a-generation opportunity to deliver legislation to create a safer, stronger, and more prosperous America.
If more than 3 Republicans oppose the measure, it is likely to fail.
A Crisfield man now facing charges as Maryland State Police are accusing him of a deadly shooting that happened in Somerset County back in April. According to troopers, 28-year-old Tyron Ivey was arrested Friday morning in Seaford by Delaware State Police. He's charged with first-degree murder, second-degree attempted murder, assault, reckless endangerment, and several other firearm charges. Now, police say the victim, 20-year-old Evan Neal of Crisfield, was found shot in a home on Cove Street on April 25th and was pronounced dead at the scene.
New this morning, if you've taken a trip to Cape Henlopen State Park and visited the beach, it's likely that you have used the McBride Bathhouse. The building has been up since 1979, and Denrick says there have been no major renovations since the beginning.
Now, CoastTV News reporter Brandon Ferguson shows us the potential plans Denrick has for the site.
People walk through the McBride Bathhouse, headed to the beach. On your screen now is footage from November a look inside the bathroom that Denreck says is outdated and old. That's what one woman CoastTV spoke with says is a major problem when visiting the state park.
It's a gem of Delaware. We bring lots of friends here, but the bathhouse definitely needs work. It's kind of almost shameful at times. It's so loaded with flies and sand, and people don't have any place to put their garbage, so they leave the garbage on the floor.
For local Charlie Hench, he doesn't see any problem with the bathhouse.
So I think it should stay the way it is. You know, why spend the hell opens money or Delaware's money unnecessarily?
That blue square on your screen is where original plans called for a new bathhouse to go on a dune just a few hundred feet away. The project secured $1 million in funding from a bond bill in fiscal year 2025. But there's been no date released of when renovations could happen at the McBride bathhouse.
Denreck tells CoastTV that any plans could change depending on environmental concerns. At the Cape Antelope State Park, Brandon Ferguson, CoastTV News.
We have a lot more news to get to in this final half hour. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up, Delmarva Mega Millions winner will tell you how much is going to one lucky person as the jackpot resets for another drawing on Tuesday.
And also feeling fine in the fifth. It's the only inning the Phillies scored in. It was the only inning they needed in getting a series win in Atlanta. Stay with us on CoastTV News today.
6:41 on our Monday morning. Starting to see some peaks of sun after the storms last night on the Tyndall's Casual Furniture Camp. 76 in Laurel right now as we're seeing more in the way of sunshine. We had those storms last night, but now they're long gone. In fact, they're well offshore from Delaware across areas of southern Jersey, but they continue to move out to sea. So we're looking pretty quiet as we go through the morning hours. There is a front to our north, but we're going to stay on the muggy side of that front today as we're seeing temperatures into the mid 70s. Here is your boardwalk forecast. It's going to be mild and muggy at the beach. Not too much wind. We're looking at 80s this morning and then heads up this afternoon. Watch for dark skies for showers and some storms. Keep an eye to the sky for that. And congratulations to Loretta Nolan from Lewis on winning a brand new umbrella from CoastTV and Paul Davis.
A person in Virginia struck gold. Actually, we're talking about $348 million after winning the lottery. The ticket is the largest prize ever won in any Virginia lottery game, and the winner has 6 months to claim the prize. The jackpot now resets to $50 million for the next drawing, and that is tomorrow.
People braved the heat in Lincoln this weekend to raise money for equine-assisted psychotherapy. The nonprofit Compassionate Hearts held its fundraiser. There were raffle baskets, kids' activities, and opportunities to meet donkeys, horses, and cows right on site. At Compassionate Hearts and its program for the military, Courageous Hearts, licensed therapists work alongside facilitators who say being with the animals helps bring comfort and trust to patients who may not be at ease in a traditional setting.
On Sunday, the Phillies with an opportunity to extend their lead in the National League East. The Mets were getting swept in Pittsburgh. Phils attempted to win the rubber game of their series in Atlanta. And the first two games of the series combined to score 20 runs. Here we go, second inning. Ranger Suarez gets tattooed by Sean Murphy, and the Phils trail early after that home run. Stayed 1-0 until the fifth, and that's when Otto Kemp pulls it down the line. Bryson Stott, he keeps running all the way from first. He scores. We're tied at 1. Phillies would add another and lead 2-1. Dicey situation in the ninth at the corners. Runners, 2 outs. Braves, Stuart Fairchild gives it a ride, but as you saw there, only warning track power. Phillies get the win 2-1. They now lead the Mets by a game and a half. How about C.J. Abrams? 2-run triple capping a 3-run 11th inning. Nationals get the win over the Angels. Dean Kremer allowed 3 singles and 7 scoreless innings. The Orioles take a 3-game series at the Yards against the Rays. And on the Orioles farm, the Shorebirds, they give up this 3-run tater to the Mudcats' Eric Batanti in the second inning. Birds drop the series finale 4-2. Homestand continues tomorrow night against the Fredericksburg Nationals. Coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network at 6:15, it's Maryland Supreme Basketball League. Then at 10:30, it's the final score on the DSM Plus app. You get that boys basketball game. You also get these exclusives. At 6, we got high school girls basketball at Crown Sports Center. High school boys lacrosse at DE Turf. And at 6:15, another boys basketball game in the Maryland Supreme League.
And here's what you can expect this afternoon on Coast Life at 4.
Well, we hope you're coming off a fun weekend, even if the weather could have been a little weird at some points, but we get through it together with some Coast Life. Let's see what's coming up today at 4 on the show. We know 4th of July is coming up, and the Lewis Boat Parade is an annual tradition.
Plus, it's the art that gives how your artistic endeavors can help a few local charities.
And we can't get through a Monday without a joke jar. We've got some eye-rolling laughs for you coming your way. All that and so much more is happening today at 4 on Coast Life. We'll see you then.
We're seeing some dark skies on the Tullin Eraser Cam with departing storms now moving over the ocean. And we're going to see a stormy start to the week for Delaware, with some of those strong to possibly severe, especially into Tuesday. Then it dries out just in time for the 4th of July. Looking like a great holiday weekend forecast. I'll have all the details coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
The time is now 6:47, and we are taking a live look outside at Laurel this morning. That is a beautiful shot there in Laurel, Bob. That sun is starting to shine. We're not having the storms like we had this morning right now in Laurel on that camera, but you said later today there may be some storms to watch out for.
I would think so, yeah, later today, but especially Tuesday evening into Wednesday morning, I think with a strong cold front, a better chance of those storms, Elisa. But we also have that chance today. It's going to be hot and humid, and we could see a drenching downpour, maybe some damaging winds, but I think a better chance of that later Tuesday. Then the mid to latter part of the week looking great as we head towards the 4th of July. High pressure, lower humidity, a beautiful 4th on the way. It's going to be warm with 80s and 90s, but much more comfortable in the way of humidity goes. And you can see those showers and storms that rolled through Sussex County last night. We had some thunder, some brief heavy rain, but now the storms have now moved off the coast of southern Jersey. Some heavier storms there. If you're taking the ferry up to Cape May, I think you're okay with these storms continuing to move off the Jersey shore right now. But over Delmarva, we're starting to see some breaks in the overcast like we just saw on that camera. And I think much of our area will be dry as we go through the morning and early afternoon hours. There's a stationary front to the north. It's very muggy and warm to the south and then hot to the south and west. And it's this cold front across the Midwest. This will be a game changer. That will come in later Tuesday with that chance for severe weather. And then much drier air follows in behind that just in time for the 4th of July. Out the door, mid 70s. It's mild. It's muggy. We've got those dew points as high as 75, 76 degrees, making it really uncomfortable out there. As we're seeing some peaks of sun this morning on Futurecast, we quickly warm from the 80s to around 90 in Millsboro at noon and Delmar, with 80s at the beaches, and then 92 in Lewis around 3, around 80 in Dewey Beach. And then into the afternoon with the hot and humid weather in place, watch for a few pop-up showers and storms. They could be slow movers too, with heavy rain and gusty winds. Those clear out overnight, and it's very warm and muggy into Tuesday morning, only into the 70s as the winds pick up out of the southwest tomorrow. So at least we'll have some wind to keep us a little cooler, but another hot day with lower 90s. And then the cold front brings in heavier rain with some, vivid lightning. We're looking at hail and maybe some damaging winds as we go into Tuesday evening. So we'll watch this carefully. Then I think we're still looking at some lingering showers into early Wednesday, maybe a rumble of thunder. Then it finally starts to dry out as we go into later Wednesday. We'll feel that lower humidity. Marginal chance of severe weather today, eastern shore, parts of Sussex County and points north, maybe some very heavy rain and damaging winds, but then a better chance of severe weather tomorrow with a slight risk across Delaware, eastern shore, lower chances to the south with winds, maybe flooding, and maybe some hail into tomorrow evening. Then much better Thursday into the weekend. A beautiful 4th of July, lower humidity with temperatures in the 80s and 90s. As you can see, we're in the miserable range as far as that muggy meter, but things do improve. It starts to dry out, look really good for Friday, and I think the humidity is still behaving into the weekend. Lower 90s with storms basically through Tuesday night into Wednesday. Stronger storms tomorrow night. 85 Wednesday, humidity drops as we go through time. By Thursday, 89 then for the 4th, looking great. 86 degrees, looking great for fireworks, cookouts, anything outdoors, and I think that continues into the weekend. 87 Saturday and partly cloudy on Sunday and a high of 90.
All right, thank you, Bob. On Tuesday, police started an investigation after they say a man was found dead in a car in Rehoboth Beach. This is the location right here on your screen. According to police, officers responded to Olive Avenue Tuesday evening for a report of an odor coming from a parked car. Upon arrival, they saw a dead man inside the car, partially covered. Police say it's being classified as a suspicious death.
And Delaware State Police have also issued a gold alert for 53-year-old Vanessa Johnson of Virginia. She was last seen in Rehoboth Beach on June 23rd. She's wanted in connection with a death investigation. Police say she could head to New York City or the D.C. Northern Virginia area.
The time is now 6:52, and we are going to check in with our coastal pet of the day.
And this hour, today's coastal pet may be named Jinx, but we're sure there's no bad luck here. On your screen, that is Jinx, who has worked very hard to lose some weight. Her family says they're very proud of her. Jinx and her family live in Ocean View.
Happy for you, Jinx, and we want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. Send us photos and tell us what makes them so special. You can take a look at your screen.
Scan the QR code at the top of your screen to submit your friends to Coast TV News, and then watch weekdays from 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
It is 6:55, and it's time for the things you need to know before you go. A number of bills in Delaware are awaiting their fate, including Senate Bill 159. This is the one that would override the Sussex County Council's decision to ban an electric substation in Millsboro. The location of that proposed substation is right here, the now retired Indian River power plant that you see from our coast copter. On June 10th, the bill passed the Senate along party lines and now is awaiting in the House of Representatives.
Cape Henlopen State Park McBride Bathhouse has been up since 1976, and Denrex says the bathrooms are updated and there's not enough space for lifeguards. Proposed plans late last year called for a new bathhouse to be built on a nearby dune. That was opposed by local environmental groups, and Denrex secured $1 million for fiscal year 2025 for this project. However, no date has been released yet on when renovations could happen at the McBride Bathhouse. Again, that's in Cape Henlopen State Park.
And the time is now 6:56. We're going to take another look at our Monday forecast. It started out stormy. On our cameras now, it's looking clear outside.
Yeah, now look at Bob. Already weather activity, Bob, but now we're in the calmer part of this Monday.
We are. Yeah, we had the overnight storms, which we like. We get the rain overnight, and now we're drying out through the morning hours. But I think, again, with the afternoon heating, we have a chance of seeing more storms today. Here is our day part forecast. It's going to be another warm and muggy day with 80s and then low 90s this afternoon. And keep an eye to the sky for some storms. That could contain heavy rain and maybe gusty winds, too. And feels like temperatures this afternoon. Really be careful out there. It's going to feel like 100 away from the coast. So you know the drill. Stay hydrated and try to stay in AC if you can. Paul Davis 10-day forecast, lower 90s the next couple of days. Could be severe storms as we go into Tuesday evening. We'll watch that. Maybe damaging winds, flash flooding, and hail. Morning storms on Wednesday, 85. Then we finally start to dry it out. Thursday, 89. The 4th of July looking great. Sunshine, 86. And looking great for fireworks and cookouts. I think the nice weather continues through the rest of the holiday weekend with 80s and lower 90s. Maybe another storm chance by next Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, thank you, Bob, and thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News today.
And the Today Show is coming up next at 7 a.m.
Then we'll be back for Coast TV Midday at 11.
And for even more news coverage you can count on, download our Coast TV News and weather apps. Have a great Monday morning, everybody.